Hey, welcome back for part two with Jim Angel. We left off talking about, hey, how we're going to get home safely. And, well, cheerleaders came up in there. I tried to figure out how we're going to do that. Well, we're going to talk about it here in part two. And you're going to want to stay close by. Make sure you have an extra large coffee for this one because at the end, there's some really good stuff about what this can do if you do not pay attention. Let's get going.
No, John, I think you're right. I think that I promise you there's been stories where when you've sat down and been able to share that data with the driver, and like this example that I gave, hey, did you know that you're speeding 63% of the time that you're driving? I guarantee you that guy or gal's going to go, there's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
There's
exactly.
no way.
Yeah.
But show them the data, show them the location, show where it happened. When we dug in deeper, we found that this particular individual had a very consistent pattern of going 7 to 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit.
Right.
And there was a lot of interstate driving. This was across I-80 in the middle of nowhere, right? Cornfield, United States. But still, you know, you're waiting for that one moment where that RV pulls over and is going way too slow, and you're not allowing yourself enough time for that out to do what you need to do to keep yourself safe and hopefully not hurt anybody else in the process as well.
Exactly. So it becomes a challenge, you know, there's no doubt about educating it. So, and I think a lot of people are afraid for that challenge. It's like, yeah, I got the data, but I don't know how to deal with the driver. Maybe it's just as simple as bring them in and don't use it as a punitive situation. Use it as an educational opportunity to go, hey, were you aware of this? Because I think just as you said, they're going to go, I had no idea. Cool. Then let's talk about why it's happening. What is driving this? You know, is it just habit, or is somebody putting you under some pressure? Is it, I got to get home for a family event, or is operations putting pressure on you to get from point A to point B? Or is this just something you do? So let's look at what those faults are and figure out how do we reduce those situations to help bring your speed down.
And then I think, you know, Jim, understandably, you mentioned we're not presenting this to our drivers from the financial implication perspective organizationally, because honestly, they don't really care unless you're sharing it with them. However, when you're that safety manager and you're trying to implement these programs that do require interactions with drivers, that require coaching, that require changes in behaviors, having that financial performance improvement is something that we can reach up to our superiors and the organization, the operational side of the organization, in order to get buy-in from them as well, right? I mean, when we're improving our MPG, when we're reducing our accident frequency and thereby our cost for deductions, deductible payments, everything is financially improving for the organization as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's there's two sides of it, right? But when you're actually trying to accomplish the end result, it's important to make that personal. Because, and quite honestly, from a financial standpoint, your number one resource is a driver.
Absolutely.
Right. I don't like to use the word asset, but to me, your number one resource is your driver. It costs a lot of money to replace that butt in the seat, right?
Yep. Big time.
And no driver, no money.
Yeah. And the last reason you want to replace that is because you lost somebody. Because now you have to deal with that as well. So it's important that everybody understands the finances behind it. And that's why you've got COOs and controllers and operations folks that, I mean, you know, this is a low margin business, and I get it. I understand. But losing that driver can have a huge financial impact, right? So why not flip the story, make it about them, making sure that they're coming home safe. You'll get all the other financial advantages that go along with that. You know, I watched Bison Transport get their, I think, 11th straight safety award from TCA in that large carrier. Those are some people that care. You can tell that he genuinely cares about his people. When you do that, it's easy to be successful at this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're only counting the beans,
yep,
and that's your focus, then you're not going to be as successful at it.
yep, yep.
But if
Well,
you care about your people and bringing them back, that's where the opportunity for success lies.
yeah, culture is huge. There's
The private fleets are all looking at Walmart. The over the road folks are all looking at Knight Swift, JB Hunt, all the
Yep.
big names, right?
Yep.
Because they've got their stuff together,
Yep.
right? They know how to utilize that data. They've built metrics. They've built their own scorecards. They've done all of that, and they're successful at it.
Yep.
When you can increase that margin from a nickel to 6 cents
Mm-hmm.
a mile, you've
Mm-hmm.
accomplished something, right?
Sure. Huge.
And
big time.
those can be in the form of MPG, operational efficiency, or
Yep.
what if you take an accident a month out of the picture?
Yep.
Because
Exactly.
you're operating safer.
Yep. Big time.
Large, huge dollar impact, right?
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Well, because it's not always necessarily about the dollars and cents. Obviously, is from an operational standpoint, it's where we want to be, but also from a reputation. If you've got a reputation out there, well, you're probably not making the money you could be making, because your culture is probably not as good as it needs to be or in the direction it needs to be. Usually, I find when you've got the right culture, the right mindset, it comes with prosperity.
Well, and you said a big thing on that reputation. More and more people are looking at that because more and more people are being included
Yep.
in that horrible litigious environment
Yep.
that our guys are operating in. So brokers are being named, shippers are being named, receivers are being named. If anybody can find any information that somebody was trying to put pressure on somebody because it needed to be there 4 hours earlier than it
Yep.
could be, whatever else, right?
Yep.
Whatever the situation is, everybody has exposure.
Yep.
And so people are looking deeper at information that's available about that carrier. And I made the example of the driver ranking. Well, now you've got carrier ranking, and nobody's calling the guys at the bottom.
No, exactly.
Right? They don't want that exposure. I
Yep.
mean, and I get it, right? So yeah, taking a real look at your overall program and what that looks like in the public's eye.
Yep.
And in your customer's eye, you can tell that the folks that do that and do it well,
Yep.
Are recognized for that.
You've got that other aspect that if we go to court, you're going to be able to be defendable because you'll be able to show what you're doing with the data. Yep. Versus the guys that are playing ostrich, got their head in the sand and going, I just figure if I don't do anything with it, it's no big deal. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't work in today's day and age. The courts are now looking for this technology is everywhere. What are you doing with it? And if you're not, well, we're just going to hang you up for it. And like you said earlier, that litigious environment is about to bite. So
because it's even if you chose to make the bad decision to not use some of those solutions that are available, then when you get in court, the plaintiff attorney asks you, why aren't you using these? Yep. Everybody else does.
Yep.
Why are you choosing not to?
Exactly.
What have you got to hide?
Yep. Yeah.
So it is important to utilize the tools that are available, but you have to manage to them. You have to have a policy and a program that go along with them, and then you have to follow it.
Yep.
Right. You just can't throw it out there and then not manage to it. So there's some work involved, but man, you see the carriers like Bison and Fortune, that was one of the other, and they're able to do it, and they're able to manage it, and they manage it at a level that's consistent and not consuming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Keep it simple, remain consistent, all the things that make that, and most importantly, reward the drivers that are doing everything good, because the other drivers see that. And they want to be like that. So that culture that you talked about earlier, that becomes contagious.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
And you want to celebrate those successes. That's going to be helpful in that rewarding process and whatnot, but also even with your customers, to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm bidding on this lane of travel here. And just to let you know, we used to do this 10 years ago, and here we've reduced our incidents on this pathway, and we've done this, and just want to let you know we're a safer carrier now, and these are here. those are going to be bonuses, can help you win that lane. But if anything, it's going to help you win the right drivers.
Well, and that, particularly for the smaller carriers
Yep.
that are not self-insured,
Yep.
taking that mechanism to show what they're doing to manage at a safer level to their agent when it's time for renewal.
Yep. Yep. Big time.
You get some leverage in that conversation.
Exactly.
To the point where, you know what, if you're not willing to recognize what we're doing and what we've accomplished over the last year, then maybe I do have to make a few phone calls, right? And insurance companies are really starting to look at that, right?
Yes.
And measure that risk and look at those scores and say, hey, these are some folks that they've got their stuff together. They're going to be defendable in court. You know, the safety manager is going to do well in a deposition. They've got the stuff together that they need to. And oh, by the way, I'm probably going to pay out less claims going with these folks because of the programs that they have in place.
Exactly. Makes you a better risk overall. So awesome. Well, I think that's a great area to end it on. And I think this has just been awesome information, Jim. Excellent volume of data here. And I love the fact that it can be just one simple dynamic that you're going to measure to start the program with. So, and if you're going to do it,
start, and you'll see a huge impact from it.
Yep. I can see that happening, no doubt. And, you know, speed is probably our biggest problem with anybody and everybody. We do it in our personal cars when we're in a rush. So, you know, now it's tenfold when it's in a commercial motor vehicle.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jim. I appreciate it. And, I'm looking forward to the next time we get you back on the air here with us.
I appreciate it. Great catching up, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Cool.
Compliance Clips is a joint production of Summit Risk Solutions and Links Consulting. Thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in our next release. Take care.